This is Tea with Botha.
Welcome to 2026, a new year, new opportunities, new challenges. We hope that you will continue to like us, you'll continue to subscribe. It has been a while without us being on air, but previously we focused on parents with children who were living with autism. We spoke to Malachai Khomutso, we spoke to Paseka. These were two parents who are with children that are living with autism. Now, we're continuing today in focusing on autism differently, in that we are meeting Professor Sefotho, who is from the Department of Educational Psychology, the University of Johannesburg. And he's also a director at the Neurodiversity Center at UJ, something that I think is unique, something that I think is peculiar. I haven't heard in the country of a center that's dedicated to neurodiversity. But we want to hear what's his work like, what's his life like, what does it mean, what does it entail? I mean, the research. What is it that he does? But again, he is not just a professor, not just a researcher, he's an activist. But you will hear more from him. I would really ask you to help me to welcome Professor Sefotho. Prof, thank you so much and welcome to this episode of Tea with Botha. Tell us about who is Professor Sefotho?
Thank you so much, Ndate, and I really feel very much welcome. And I humbly welcome the opportunity to be here and speak about this subject that is so important, not only for individuals, but also for society. My name is Maximus Sefotho. I am a full professor in the Department of Educational Psychology at the University of Johannesburg, and also the director of the Center for Neurodiversity, which is situated in Soweto. The move was a deliberate one to have the center closer to the community so that it can be easily accessible. I think in your introduction you're saying, why this center? What do we do at the center? The primary goal of this center is to train in tandem with the goals of our department, educational psychologists. We start at an honors level to, start the journey with them, and then they go to masters, and then the last level will be PhD. These are the people who dedicate their life to issues of educational psychology, but with emphasis on neurodiversity. Where is this neurodiversity coming from in our university? Quite a while back, the Department of Higher Education and Training, together with the European Union, decided to fund several universities to develop centers of excellence in different focal areas. Let me start with the first one, which was the Center for Deaf Studies at Wits University. That has been going on for a long time. Then came our Center for Visual Impairment Studies at the University of Pretoria, right here behind us. Yeah. That is where I did my PhD, hence the word that you were asking me about.
I was fascinated by it.
The concept of heiferpreneurship. I am a person whose mission is to help others make meaning of their life.
Interesting.
I am a subscriber to a philosophy called existentialism. And the focus...
Existentialism.
Existentialism. the focus of existentialism is to find meaning in life. What is the meaning of my existence? What is the
why
meaning?
am I on earth?
Why am I here? What is
am I
my
doing
mission?
here?
What is my mission here? That comes from my background in issues of career guidance, let me put it that way. You can call it career guidance, career development, career counseling. This is the field that is close to my heart. Because for me, it is a field that all of us should have had the opportunity to get there, be guided, be supported, be assisted to make meaning of our lives. Now, when the DHET realized that
the Department of Higher Education.
Yes, that there had been problems in terms of the implementation of the inclusive education policy, of the inclusion policy. You remember our policy in the country. The decision was then to establish those centers. So the Visual Impairment Studies Center was developed emanating from my thesis, because my thesis focused on an old man who was born completely blind, but who fascinated me as a young person to say, he is blind, but he uses what I later learned when I got the language, something called echolocation. Echolocation. The blind people, many of them, make this clicking sound. That clicking sound helps them to send signals around as feelers that allow the sound to bounce back to them and then let them know what is happening in their surroundings. That is why when you look at a blind person, you'll see them, posturing themselves in a manner that indicates they are trying to feel around them. So that echolocation is also used naturally by bats, bomankhane, the dolphins, and other animals. They send the sound waves out, and when those sound waves hit an object, it bounces back to them. So they are able to know that there's someone in front of me because they don't see.
Interesting.
Now, that was the center, but the main one I'm going to talk about was the last born of the three centers, which is the Center for Neurodiversity. The Department of Higher Education and Training plus the EU then decided we're going to fund these centers to be developed. And ours was mandated to look at issues of what is termed in more medically focused terms as the neurodevelopmental needs. That changed also, because in the book, the Bible of Psychology called the DSM, it appears as neurodevelopmental disorders. But you have heard me saying that I consider myself an activist. And part of my being an activist is to look at life in a positive way. That positivity says to me, once you talk disability, once you talk disorder, you are saying to part of the population of this world that you are different in a negative way.
And that's your exclusion probably emanates from.
You need to be fixed.
Yeah, there's something wrong about you.
There's something drastically wrong with you. But then when I took over the running of the center, I'd been exposed to colleagues in other parts of the world. My very good friend from the University of California, Davis, introduced me to colleagues who were working in the field of neurodiversity. Then I I became interested in the term neurodiversity because it carries a bit more of a positive attitude and approach towards the whole issue, in that it looks at the strengths instead of the weaknesses. This is why in society, you talk of disability, people look negatively at others, but they fail to highlight what are the strengths that are
It's
there.
othering.
Yes.
Yeah.
And making others feel different in a way that does not promote what I earlier started with. That finding of the meaning, one's mission in this world. So our center trains parents, either be it parents of children who are neurodivergent. I use the word neurodiversity deliberately because there is a metaphor of an umbrella that includes not only autism, but ADHD,
That's Down
Asperger's,
syndrome.
Down syndrome, you name them. But because we want to be inclusive, the feeling was, from our perspective, if we only single out autism, which, by the way, is becoming so famous around the world exponentially, but you wonder what would happen now to a parent whose child he does not have autism, is not autistic, but has Down syndrome. If we only focus on autism, then it means we are excluding them. So our social activism was to be inclusive in this manner. Now, apart from the parents, we also train caregivers of neurodivergent children. Remember that parents may not be in the house most of the time, but you need someone who is going to understand your child. You also need out there in community, in schools, in centers, people who should be trained to be able to understand neurodivergent children. Again, we train practitioners, professionals. We also look at developing research. We are people who are pro-African produced research, African produced knowledge.
How different is that
Exactly.
from the Euro or what one would call a Eurocentric approach? How different? Or what makes it ours or peculiar?
Botha, you are touching a raw nerve with me when you ask that question. Because
Well, in fact, the credit belongs to Adilo, who's the producer.
Okay.
So that I don't here.
No, that's
He coached me. He taught me.
Okay, beautiful.
In preparation for this. Yeah.
Beautiful. Part of my activism is to break down what we call the hegemony. Hegemony has to do with the
powerful.
The powerful use of knowledge that comes from elsewhere other than our own indigenous knowledge systems. Because you understand and you speak fluent Sesotho, I'm going to say to you the following. In our indigenous knowledge systems, we don't have the word for autism.
No, I struggled. No, Haliyu.
Even with other disabilities, you'll find that it's very difficult for people to understand. When you say somebody, that word has to be interrogated, because we are moving from historically demeaning terminology to terminology that should promote individuals and their abilities. Well, whatever type of
disability,
we have to emphasize on their abilities. Now, this center is also housing the fathers of children with neurodiversity. They call themselves the FCN tribe. This is a group that was represented by Paseka and the
Here
rest.
on our Tea with Botha.
Yes. I will not go much into that,
Okay.
but go back to the research space where we have been very blessed to have our own Vice Chancellor of the University of Johannesburg. He likes calling it the Great University of Johannesburg.
Oh, great.
He is in the forefront of supporting our center to develop home-based research. You asked a very critical question. What is the difference between knowledge that comes from elsewhere and knowledge that we produce on the ground? Unfortunately, because of the nature of neurodiversity, tests have to be conducted, which say, for example, this person is autistic, this person has ADHD, this person has Tourette's syndrome, you name them. But ask yourself a question. The instruments that we use to diagnose, to measure those, where do they come from? Who produced them? Who said, when this instrument has been produced by someone sitting, let me use an example, in America, that when it was tested, it became relevant to address our issues here. I will use one example of a special learning need. Some people like calling them special learning disabilities. I call it a need. Now, let me use dyslexia. Dyslexia is one of the conditions under neurodiversity, which is specific to language issues. Now, when an instrument is used because a child cannot spell a word in English, but this child has not even been taught in his own mother tongue, but in English alone, but they speak 3, 4, 5 other languages. And the instrument says the person has dyslexia. How certain is that? How sure are we that that is actually the issue, other than other issues that may be at play? Because this is a child who we are asking for them to describe a particular thing in a language that is foreign to them. What are we doing? But our own indigenous knowledge systems create a space for us to look back into ourselves, find strengths that say to us, if we are looking at a particular type of disability, has it existed historically in our culture? And how did our ancestors deal with it? Kemosot, I'll tell you that in the history of Basotho lived Chief Mohlomi, who was a mentor for King Moshoeshoe to be who he became eventually. Chief Mohlomi was himself a healer and a philosopher of the time, at the same time as the European philosophers. He was able to heal people physically, mentally. But you ask yourself, how did he do it? How did he know? And we failed as society to harvest knowledge systems from such people who should have become anchors of our knowledge system. So for me, it is important that yes, we accept knowledge that has been developed from the West, but it should not be the only knowledge. We should go back to our cultures and find out what is it that we can bring into the knowledge space to create knowledge that will respond to our people. I used an example of the lack of the word for autism. But who knows? Maybe in one of our languages, there could be a word that will approximate there, and we need to bring it to the fore. Now, I spoke a little bit about Professor Mpedi. He developed...
Your Vice Chancellor.
our Vice Chancellor, he developed, out of his own goodwill, the Mpedi Family Scholarship for Neurodiversity Studies. This is so laudable because each year he funds about 5 students.
From his own pocket.
From his own pocket to research on any of the neurodiversity conditions of their choice. But this is now creating knowledge from Africa. This is now sharing knowledge with the West. This is now saying we also exist and we have the valid knowledge like anyone else that we can share with the world. It is no longer the case of they know better than we do. So we know our own conditions. We know our own situation more than anybody else.
It could be part of decolonization.
Exactly that. Hence
your center seeks to do this.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you think, Prof? You said that the exit. Talk to us about. Here's a parent watching us, listening to us. You spoke passionately about.
The exit policy.
Yes. Say more about it.
It disturbs me a great deal because I look at a young person who is told, you are now exiting the education system. To where? Here is the issue. Most of our neurodivergent children, young people, would even come late into education.
Into the system.
But they are told once you reach 18, between 18 and 21, then you have to exit.
We can do nothing about it.
We can't help you anymore. But are they not as human as anybody else? And if society discards them and says you are exiting to where? Now, instead of exiting, we are encouraging transitioning into post-school and through to the world of work, where we are fighting and saying there are many parents of neurodivergent young people who want to see their children do something
meaningful about their lives.
This is the point, Botha. This is the point. But now, if you have been said to have exited, it means the system has discarded you. But we are saying, let's create more space in the post-school and the world of work that will accommodate these young people. One parent in Soweto asked a very critical question in 2015. We were collecting data there. And the lady said to us, I can hear what you are saying, but I ask myself one simple question. What will happen to my child when I am no more?
If I die?
That is a very critical question because it says maybe the child does not even have siblings. Maybe the mother doesn't have extended family. So who is going to support and take care of this?
How is my child going to survive?
Exactly. Hence why our issue to say we really need to turn the tables around and say, are we as the society going to be fixated on following a strict curriculum, or are we going to say we want to skill our young neurodivergent people so that they can learn skills that they will use to enter the world of work, regardless of whether they have your grade 12s or not. But can they be supported to acquire skills that will support them to survive? This is the fight that we are engaging in to say, instead of the exit policy, let the society
talk about transition.
Embrace the transition policy that will allow support from home through school into the world of work.
How do we do that? When in fact, kids who are autistic or who are neurodiverse, like you said, the society has given up on them.
Yes.
I mean, the system, our educational system.
Yes.
I mean, how do we traverse? How do we make sure that exactly what you're talking about happens? How do we do that? Because
the big question is, why do we have inclusive education? And what really does it mean if we're semi-embracing part of society and others we are saying no? This is why it is important now that the policy of inclusive education is being revised. In that revision, we want to see true inclusion, even of neurodivergent learners, children, youth. Now, we are thinking and working towards a model as the University of Johannesburg, especially the Center for Neurodiversity, that as and when we can be assisted with funding, we really want to fill that gap of saying, yes, we know these children have been to school. Many of them would have been through primary school, but they hardly even enter high school. We want to fill that gap and say from here, we are taking them to transition further on into post-school education and into the world of work so that they can make a living for themselves. And you are asking a very critical question. How do we do that? On the 28th of March,
yes,
we will be holding a pioneering approach where we will be holding the first neurodiversity career fair. Remember,
neurodiversity
career fair. Yes.
First of its kind?
First of its kind. I have colleagues even in the US, in England, you name it. When I mention it, they all feel like, we've never heard of that. This is an idea, again through research, Afrocentric research that says it comes from the African soil. This is an idea that comes from here.
Africa too.
Exactly one is. Now, I referred to the assessments that are done. One of the assessments that
the instruments are more Western. Yeah.
One of the assessments that is so important is what we call the career assessment that has to happen through our education. You probably went to school during the times when there were school guidance.
Yes,
and then you had careers and
it was
all that.
civic education.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now, as they say, for you to know the facts, they have to come through the experiences of people. Many of our young people who exit the high school system are fumbling in terms of choices of what careers they want to follow. Many of them right now have joined universities. But when you ask, how did you end up in this particular choice? You find different answers.
It's trial and error.
You see? But you see, there's a lack there because we have people who are qualified, who are called educational psychologists, who are supposed to fill that gap. But let me put my neck on the block and say, not many of them are interested in the subject career development. When they do it, but does it actually touch the deeper aspects of that career trajectory of the transitioning of people with neurodiversity? And by the way, there are no career instruments as we speak that are specific to helping neurodivergent youth or maybe students in terms of choosing careers, in terms of being guided through that particular trajectory that we are talking about. So these are the issues that we need to talk about and come up with strategies that we are saying they truly represent and respond to the cry of neurodivergent people to say, we are here. Many of us can actually perform optimally. Just an example, many people with autism are so good in terms of details. They are so good in terms of structure. Take them out of the structure, they get confused. Remove those details, he will tell you, I left my book on this shelf, it was number so and so. You, who considerably is a normal person, might not have that detail. Imagine if you have such an employee in your company who is so gifted in terms of, dealing with details. They will tell you what went wrong and why it went wrong and how it's supposed to be rectified. But these are the people we as society are not embracing. And through our Center for Neurodiversity, we are saying these are the issues that need to be researched deeply and respond to the issues of neurodivergent children and youth in our society.
Interesting. It's over a year since we started the channel Tea with Botha. It has been an amazing journey. It contributed to amazing. There are 3 important things that you can do. One of them, important one, the first one is subscribe. If you subscribe, you are actually sending a message to YouTube that what you are doing is important, is valuable. The second that you should do is, whilst you are watching this video, press the like. Very important. Thirdly, is also important is this video, as you like it, as you subscribe, you also share with friends, family, and colleagues. In your research, what are the barriers?
The most prevalent barrier is societal attitude. We tend to stigmatize instead of embracing. That is why the parents that you see standing up and fighting for their children, sometimes that exclusion starts from our own homes, from our own houses, where as a brother, I will say, not in my culture, not in my family, we didn't have a child like this. We judge these things. You see,
this is a case.
You see, you
did something.
You see what I'm saying?
This is karma for you.
We need to change the societal mentality to say, let us be positive, let us be all-embracing, let us truly include. Because when we understand these people, it is only then that our society will reap benefits. An example, many of them who have been diagnosed and they have proof would be perhaps receiving disability grants. And if we were to do calculations and say to ourselves, how much money are we expending each month for each of them? And how many of them truly benefit from the money that they are receiving? Instead of saying to ourselves, we need to come up with, innovate, and come up with programs that will help them help themselves and be part of contributing members of society. This is why... This was my next year.
Yeah.
Yes.
I beg you to pronounce this, Prof.
Yes, you see, the PH, let's pronounce it as heifer.
Heifer.
Yes, because it's heiferpreneurship. As I said, the name of the person was Hephaestus. So from Hephaestus, we have heiferpreneurship. This is a concept that I coined
during your PhD.
During my PhD, to link that search for meaning from the career perspective to say, if this is who I am in the world, what is my mission? And therefore, it says, because of the issues of exclusion in the world of work, because of lack of proper acquisition of skills that will help me enter the world of work, I better think of something I can do for myself to survive, to create a living for myself.
That's the entrepreneurship.
That is heiferpreneurship. The point being that I can work at my own time, at my own pace, at my own. I dream of time when the society in South Africa will open up what we call entrepreneurship stalls in the malls. How many malls do we have in South Africa? Where we can say that space is reserved for people with disabilities, whatever type of disability.
Is that not the exclusion which you are fighting?
How is it exclusion?
Why would you say this is for them? I mean, you and I
that is promoting inclusion. Because the simple question I can ask you, how many stalls currently in the malls have you seen that are particularly for people with disabilities in any mall in South Africa?
Not that I know of.
That is the point. We need to create spaces for them to make a living for themselves.
So is that part of the NEET, the NEET?
That NEET, not in education, employment, or training. It is an internationally coined conceptualization that brings about the realization of excluded part of people who are either...
From exclusion to inclusion.
Yes, we need to do away with that NEET and become now inclusive. We have under the center what we call neuro-inclusion.
What is that? Neuro-inclusion?
Yes, we want to include people with neurodiversity in any part of society. How we have started this, one of the fathers, I remember very well when I started, trying to sell the idea of neurodiversity. I will not mention the name.
Okay, just true. We don't have his permission.
The gentleman said to me, when I said, we need to create opportunities for employment for our children. And he said, I'm thinking as a businessman now. How do you think I'll have time to deal with a person who is neurodivergent when I'm busy, looking at productivity?
You're going to waste my time.
You're going to waste my time. And I asked him a very simple question. Did you say that you are a father of a neurodivergent child? He said, yes. And I said to him, okay, so who do you think should take care of the employment of your child? Should they not be given an opportunity like any other human beings when there are opportunities? He said for the first time, he began to think, I need to do something.
Penny dropped.
So he devised cycling, because he cycles with his boys. He devised cycling. So I said, let's twist that and also turn it into neurocycling for neuro-inclusion. We had the first activity in Vosloorus. Yes, last year, where he gathered all the boys. It's an extremely important activity, because I said to him, this is now you creating a space where a neurodivergent individual who may not even have friends is able to say, I have someone who is similar to me.
This is just socialization.
You see, I can talk to somebody.
Yeah. I'm not ostracized.
You see?
I'm not hidden somewhere.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now this person feels that there's someone who understands me. More than even my parent. I have my peer with whom I can share whatever. And it takes care of the social issues, the psychological issues, and the self-esteem issues, where this person may feel that at least I've achieved something.
It goes back to your search for meaning, why we're here.
Exactly.
It answers all of those.
Exactly.
And Prof, are we succeeding?
Ka language ya haeso we say ntwana la ngwana ngwanake ke leila.
Say that slowly.
Step by step. Ntwana la ngwana ngwanake ke leila.
Awa baba, Professor. Or ntwana one ruta bona ke bua Sotho se paqameng
Dad.
o utlwe leleme la ka le jwang ke mothosa mare mothosa buang Sotho
Ke a utlwa.
mare yena ai no
Nna
ha o ntlotse
ke senyantse letswele.
bona o ntlotse re sa lwana o reng Prof
Ntwana la ngwanake ke lela ke tla ngolla yona ha mamorao empa
o ntumele yona ka WhatsApp ya
let's do things step by step but we never relent because the journey has to continue.
We don't give up.
We never give up. We have to continue the journey. And as long as we cannot claim success now, but the biggest success that I see is the mobilization that we are entering now. When you see other groupings, other groups of men coming into the what you call, we have been visiting schools even around Pretoria, even the mere yesterday, the fathers of children with neurodiversity were at the school in Gauteng to address parents, to bring this knowledge to them that this is what we are doing. We're trying step by step to make inroads into society. And I'm so glad that the fathers now have the reins. They're out there. They are doing wonderful work under the leadership of Paseka. And we are proud to say it's not only even taking care of the rest, but we have created also opportunities for them for their own self-healing. You are an advocate of gender issues, especially Botha, the males. This group, in 2024, we took them to what we call the UJ Island. UJ has got its own island in the Vaal River. So we went there to what we called a men's cave. We listen to you when you're on air. We don't miss. So in that men's cave, that's where we allow the fathers the opportunity for self-healing. We will call several different professionals to come and address them on different issues. And this is now to say again, when they go back to their families, one might think that we are discriminative, that it is a solely men's group. But we are creating that men's cave to allow self-healing in a way that they're not going to be judgmental of one another, but supportive. And we also run a WhatsApp group, very strong. From 4 o'clock in the morning, it's running, and up until the next day, where people are sharing the challenges, where people are sharing the successes, where people are encouraging one another, where people are advising one another for the challenges that they are experiencing. I had this in my life. This is how I dealt with it. It might benefit the next person.
I hope you would share the WhatsApp number with fathers who will be listening to us, who may not have known about this, but also with mothers, with fathers, brothers, uncles, sisters, who may not know that, look, UJ does have this Euro Center. But Prof, I'm saying I hope that you and I, as we wrap up, you'd be able to share with us.
Yes.
One of the things that your life journey has been about changing, the thinking, neurodiversity or autism as a disease to something like your philosophy has been, this is a social justice matter.
Yes.
So you believe that it's not like they need to be cured, but your view is that there's a quest that in the world there must be justice. That has been your philosophy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're saying that part of that philosophy, this is also it's influenced by your own views about about inclusion and exclusion.
Yes.
So is that working?
It is. It is indeed working very much. We look at what we link also to our university's strategic plan and the goals. What we want to emphasize on is what we call societal impact. And we see this through the number of people that we reach. We do have at the university the UJFM, And throughout the year, we would have each month a presenter on any part of neurodiversity that they want to talk about. Sometimes it's parents themselves. Sometimes it is people with autism themselves, different aspects. But over and above that, we encourage more the parents to come to the fore. And we have really seen wonderful, outreach happening, reaching out to the community. And yes, the impact is beginning to show effects. You said that sometimes we even travel to far-flung places.
Yes, you in particular, I'm told, yes. Yeah.
Last year we went to Velco. Tabo. I can't say I'm comfortable while I'm only, sitting here in Pretoria. I have to be, I said the center is a national hub. And if I can't go to Limpopo and talk about neurodiversity, if I can't go to KZN and talk about neurodiversity, if I can't go to, East London, same thing. If I can't go to all of them, you name them. I was saying to a friend yesterday that the only, towns I have not been to in South Africa up to now is Uppington and the others.
The Northern Cape.
Yes.
Something that you need to do.
I've only been down to Kimberley, but further up I have not been.
Which brings me to, Prof, which brings me to your journal, Africa, the Brain Trust.
Okay.
What is it? What you seek to do?
Okay.
Why do we have to have our own journal? In fact, it links to our earlier discussion.
Yes.
Research. Yes. Yeah.
Over the years, we have been working with the Gauteng Department of Education. We collaborate with them quite strongly. The collaboration has led us to develop an African Association of Neurodiversity. We will be having a conference in April from the 4th, I think, to the 7th, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there. We have not gotten the venue yet, but the date is there, it's said. It is led by Dr. Noshin Amin, who is a graduate of the University of Johannesburg. And she's quite key in the department. She's playing a key role. Now, apart from that, we decided to develop an African Journal of Neurodiversity. This is a journal where we want to take a different kind of approach of not being emphatic only on scholarliness from academics. Yes, that should be the gist, but we open doors to community members, to say members, mothers and fathers, even siblings of children with neurodiversity who want to publish their stories there. They are welcome, most welcome. The teachers, the caregivers, you name them, so that it becomes a voice that takes the message to Africa, because we are making inroads into Africa. Right now, we have started with the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. I supervised about 3 postdoctoral fellows. These are people with their PhDs who come to the University of Johannesburg, well supported, to do what? Again, to research in depth.
On neurodiversity.
Exactly. We have that strength that strengthens this, and we're really looking towards South African taking up arms and saying, we are going to publish in that journal, because that's where their experiences, their voices should be disseminated to teach the world about how we do things as South Africans.
There was a time in your life, and I want you to talk to us about it, where you co-directed a Center for Visual Impairment. And there was a diploma 2020. Talk to me about it, because there could be a parent out there who's keen to know that, look, there is a possibility.
Yes.
And it's limitless.
Yes.
Of my child not just being exiting, to use a word, that he's
He transits.
Transits,
Yes.
not exit.
Yes. I actually alluded to it earlier amongst the 3 centers that I referred to. This is a center that is here at the University of Pretoria. And I encourage,
Just our neighbor here.
I encourage people to go and visit and see. We conducted research through 5 provinces out of the 9, where we wanted to get information from South Africans to say, if we were to develop a center of this nature, what should be the content or the challenges or the programs that it should address? So that center, I co-led it with Professor Ronel Ferreira. She's still the director now, because when I changed and joined the University of Johannesburg in 2018, then she was left to lead it alone. Now, we produced 2 books which are also accessible, open access. People can download them and use them. Again, it was with the spirit of the implementation of inclusive education. Then we developed an advanced diploma in neurodiversity studies. This is where now anyone who is teaching in the schools for the blind, as they are referred to,
Visual impairment,
they can go there and qualify, because the majority of our teachers would be charged with inclusion, but not qualified specifically in these areas. So that is the center. That is what is. It has done wonderful work. We have had graduations up to now, several of them, and we are proud to say now you see, as you said, the effects of what has happened with the development of that center. And by the way, we also link up with the National Council for the Blind. I work closely with Mr. Mabanga, and each year we train principals of schools for the blind. And we hold hands with the center, and we support the principals in trying to develop programs that are addressing needs of learners with neurodiversity.
So it's in Pretoria.
It is at the University of Pretoria, in the Groenkloof campus.
The Groenkloof campus.
Yes, the Groenkloof campus, that is where it is.
Prof, in the next 5 years, where do you see Neuro-Inclusive South Africa at? Or where do you see it at? What 5 years from now, when you look and say, look, this is where I want to see it, you would sleep peacefully.
I dream big, my brother. You see, as I said, our center is at the Soweto campus, but it is in a very constricted space. Yeah. I don't know if you know the history of who composed Nkosi Sikelel Africa.
He's buried somewhere in Bramfontein.
Yes. But we are told that he composed that song from the hills.
Next to your campus?
Exactly.
In Soweto.
From the hill there. My dream would be to see that space opened up. I'm told it's a reserved space now. But with the growth of the population, with the need that there is, if I could close my eyes for the last time, but see a true neurodiversity center situated there, which will have the center itself and have specialized classrooms, specialized rooms where we can allow people to self-heal, as well as what I want to refer to as an indigenous neurodiversity garden, where people can go, where you and I know that our own indigenous plants have healing effects. Why can't we have a healing garden there where people can go if you feel like I can't control myself anymore? You have space where you can go and sit and calm yourself, and you go back to your usual waking self where you can be operative. If I can see that center now grown and funded by South Africans, you know, my history is quite broad. I studied in Botswana. Botswana had one of the best universities in Southern Africa, and that university was built by Botswana contributing cows.
The home.
The home who had that university is one of the best now. Why can't we do the same? The same model I saw in the USA, where what they call the Mind Institute, now a huge center, was financed by parents of children with autism then. Only 3 of them, 3 families came together. And as I speak to you now, it's bigger than some of our hospitals. I don't dream of something that's mammoth, but I dream of a center that will be self-contained, which will be allowing us to develop eventually the neurodiversity studies seriously. Because even around the world, yes, it exists, but in Africa, we'll be the first to develop.
I hope our Black business men and women would be listening. I hope that will take cues. I mean, you have an organization, a trade union that is exclusively Africana, Solidarity. The things they do. I mean, that the Solidarity would say just a member contribute 1 rand.
Exactly.
Where are our business Black, and I emphasize Black men and women who are moneyed, who wants to say that we are Black, we are proud, and we want to move away from this dependency syndrome. You talk about somehow Africa being on your own, and this is part of. And I hope that when they're listening, our government also that in years to come, this dream would be realized.
For now, what I'm looking for, in order to truly reach out to the communities, is what I call the neurodiversity mobile clinic. To allow me to take our students, to take our staff members, to drive into the communities. Do you have any idea how many of these children are still excluded? Because that culture ya rona re tla be re ke sehole. O siwe ka hara ntlo o notleletse mono because we don't understand this person. We want to reach out to communities.
And mobile clinics, you're taking it where people are.
Exactly. We're taking this message to the people. If funders could come up and give us those, I'm telling you, the 5 years that you are talking about, between the time is up, we would have reached so many people. My belief is to go and get research from the communities so that we come up with knowledge that emerges from the ground. Instead of copycatting what is happening around the world, which may not address the needs of our South African society.
You are lucky to have somebody like your Vice Chancellor who champions this.
Blessed.
You are extremely blessed.
Yes.
When in other places, this may be miscellaneous, that an afterthought. But here's a man who says that, look, this is going to be part of my legacy, I think.
Exactly.
Part of what we do as we drink tea, Prof, is to make sure that, as I said earlier, we talk about the unconventional.
Yes.
We talk about, when I opened, I spoke about what Khomotso or Malekhai, what Paseka are doing. And now it's Professor Sefotho.
Thank you.
You may be at home listening to this discussion. It's important to remember what Professor Sefotho's philosophy of life. What's the meaning of life? That we don't have dustbins for human beings. This discussion must have empowered you, must have encouraged you, must have, in fact, given you a lease of life as we celebrate, as we enter into 2026. You're probably saying to yourself that, look, I have this child here. I will not lock him or her up. This child is not a case. This child is not a burden. In fact, this child is a gift from God. This child is a gift from Allah. This child is a gift from Padimu Limudimu. I hope that you will take this offer and visit the University of Johannesburg Neurodiversity Center, or contact Prof and his team. We hope that as you do this, it will be part and parcel of what drinking tea with Botha is, to empower our communities, to ensure that we talk about us. Remember the slogan of those that are disabled: nothing about us without us. Prof, once again, thank you for joining us, and thank you for the wonderful work. Continue to do this. I hope that your vision, Black men and women who are moneyed out there, it's in our self-interest to be self-reliant. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you so much, Nati.
This is Tea with Botha.